is a beautiful morning here in the Ozark Mountains. We've already seen some bucks cross up there to right away. There's thick clover up there getting a few bites. And Big Al just landed a tree about 40, 50 yards in front of us. He did a little talking and had some local toms respond to him, so it's early on, but we're right in the middle of it. I cannot wait to see the show. We're going to get to see this morning. Just beautiful sunrise. Turkeys, well, I'm sure some hens are starting to nest. They've certainly been laying eggs a while. Just listening and being out a little bit, seems like the toms are talking on the limb, quiet till 9 or 10, and then start running these ridges. So, got a ghillie blind set here. Unless I just hear one really talking off on a distant ridge, I'm gonna stay here. I just know from years past, a lot of turkeys run through here. My daughter Ray, I'll never forget, a long time ago, killed a big tom up here. Good memories, great sunrise, sunny days. High pressure is so important in turkey hunting. Because those cloudy, wet days, they don't talk near as much, and I love hearing them gobble. Rain coming in tomorrow, but today we're gonna try to tag a tom. That one sounded more like a tom, not a jay. Where was it? It's off further down the ridge over here, pretty far down. Bird's close. He's a throaty gobble. Yeah, that sounds like a tom. He's on the ground somewhere. Yeah, I think he's on the floor.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes! Way to go, Grant!
Circling rascals. Man, I just telling you, I love turkey hunting. They can be frustrating, but every now and then they make you mad. When those rascals, that one come in running, he's right here, I don't know, 18 yards, and I was all pumped up, and my dot was not setting on his head like I like it, so I opted to let him go. I mean, he's 18 yards on a beautiful morning, and he went to the gobbler that was gobbling, because we had stopped calling, went over there, and I heard him go behind us. Daniel heard him walking over this way. Man, it was just like all around. It was like a beehive, man. I was like, oh. I saw him out here, and Daniel's camera's over here, so I could see him clearly, but y'all on the camera couldn't see him. And finally, Daniels gave me the okay, and he got down there. Man, he's 40. He's 40-something. And I love it, man. 20 gauge. Hammered him. I mean, wasn't no big flopping. It was just a lot of dropping. I want to go put some hands on that rascal.
Growing Deer is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Also by Green Cover Food Plots, Winchester, Lacrosse Footwear, Moultrie Mobile, Fleet Outdoor Apparel, Morel Targets, RTP Outdoors, Fourth Arrow, Hunt Stand, Scorpion Venom Archery, Case IH Tractors, Burris Optics, National Land Realty, G5 Broadheads, Prime Bows, and Redneck Hunting Blinds.
Just a little bit after 7, sun's finally over the mountains, and it feels good. Some mornings just know it's gonna be a good day, and looking at the weather forecast, I thought it was gonna be a good day. It was certainly nippy out there, and Daniel and I, of course, know the area and studied maps, and this is what we call an elevator ridge. It goes out to a point and drops down, and frequently toms will roost on the point out there. They can kind of listen for that whole valley, so we came all the way around from behind to sort of stand below them, trying to get them pitched down to us, and parked back behind us, walked in here, had pre-positioned the redneck ghillie blind. You know, seems like we just sat in here and killed a turkey, but there was a lot of thinking to it, and the thinking's not just scouting. We'd been up here scouting, there's scratching right here, there's scratching in this food plot. It's a narrow food plot, leaves get in here. It's gonna be a lot of insects in a healthy, rapidly growing food plot, so turkeys love to scratch leaves in the edge of a food plot. And we had a Moultrie Mobile out on the point, and so we've known from past days, just throughout the spring and the dominance, whatever, turkeys be out there sorting out their dominance. Knew that was a strut area. It's an area that's a little difficult to get right in, just set up on that strut area first thing in the morning. Vegetation's a bit lower here. It's a really rocky slope, so just doesn't grow quite as tall. This time of year, those toms still want to be strutting, want to be able to spread out, and the vegetation's tall. It's gonna be dewy and wet in the morning. They're probably not gonna be strutting in there, and it may block your shot, may block your ability to see good. So we backed off, knowing from past experience, and my daughter Ray has tagged multiple birds within 100 yards of right here. So just knew that once those toms cut off the strut area, they like to come this way. But the real strategy was studying hunt stand, knowing the area. Birds are gonna be out there on that point, and we were able to turn them from dropping down the valley, let them work back this way. It's a better setup here, and that proved true again this morning. That's what I'm talking about. It's a rainy day, so we got time to review the footage of that hunt and just kind of sit back and reflect on it. I always like to learn from my hunts, and thinking it through and watching the footage, we knew a tom was gobbling over my left shoulder. Couldn't tell exactly where it was, so I was hesitant just to make a big turn and try to see it. Didn't want to spook it because there was also a tom out in front of us somewhere gobbling. And Daniel had the camera turned, pointed back over my left shoulder in case that tom stepped out and walked down the road. So when we're reviewing the footage, the camera actually caught that tom barely in the timber. That tom was strutting and probably would have come in front of us and put on a show, but it wasn't long until another tom, almost sure a more mature tom, come running up the road in front of us. But in hindsight, looking at the footage, I think he saw that subordinate tom back there strutting behind our blind,
because he ran right past us, and I tried to stop him. I think that dominant tom chased the subordinate tom down in the timber. Reflecting on it now, I think that subordinate tom come back around behind us, got in the timber on our right side this time, come on around, and then stepped in view. He wasn't gobbling or strutting. He'd had enough of that dominant tom chasing him around. He was just trying to slide in quietly and find that hen. We share a lot about critter behavior, turkey behavior, deer behavior, and a big part of that is that dominant-subordinate relationship. You know, bucks, dominant, subordinate, especially around receptive does, when to grunt to a buck, when not to grunt to a buck. Same is true with turkeys. Man, that dominant tom, if we'd have had a Jake set over a hen decoy out in front of us, he probably would have flared off that other tom he was going after and ran right in front of the blind. I opted not to use decoys that morning just because of the setup, and I knew there's a bunch of jakes in the area. And I was afraid those big toms were getting tired of those bully jakes whipping on them. But in that case, a jake decoy set over hen decoy probably would have been the perfect recipe to get that tom to stop right in front of a blind. Oftentimes, hunts like that are situational. I get a kick, and when I see somebody's YouTube video or something says, this system always works or always use this decoy setup. That's just not the case. You need to know the portion of the breeding season you're hunting in and adjust your setup and even your techniques accordingly.
You know, man, turkey hunting is such a great way to enjoy creation. We saw an owl this morning, saw deer. I'm hearing a lot of songbirds right now, enjoying that sunshine, and got some great protein to take back. But more important than all of that, there's a lot of great things about life in there. You want to take time every day to seek the Creator's will for your life. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.